The early morning sun spread a soft golden glow over the long stretch of countryside land owned by Arman. His home stood at the top of a gentle slope, surrounded by tall grass, old trees, and a small wooden fence that marked the start of their property. It was a quiet place, peaceful and free from noise. Arman loved the silence. It reminded him of easier times. That morning he stood on the porch holding a cup of warm tea. He breathed deeply and smiled. His daughter Mira was coming home today after many months away. He missed her more than he admitted. She always brought energy to the house, and her presence made the place feel alive. A small car appeared at the far end of the dirt road. Arman recognized the sound even before he saw the vehicle. His smile grew. He set his cup aside and waved as the car approached. Mira stepped out of the vehicle with her backpack slung over her shoulder. She wore simple jeans, a plain shirt, and her dark hair was tied back tightly. She looked calm, confident, and ready for anything. That was always how she looked. Most people had no idea who she truly was. To them, she seemed like a regular young woman returning home after months of work. But Mira was not ordinary. She was a trained FBI agent who always stayed alert, even on peaceful days. Arman walked down the porch steps and hugged her tightly. "Welcome home," he said with warmth. Mira returned the hug. "I missed you, and I missed this place." They walked together toward the house. Mira looked around with careful eyes, studying the land the same way she always did. She had been trained to notice changes. She saw the new marks on the ground near the fence, a few footprints near the old barn, and a broken branch on a tree that looked fresh. Nothing alarming, but unusual enough to make her curious. "You have been keeping busy here," she said. Arman shook his head. "Not me. Some strange men walk around lately. They say they belong to an HOA. They make rules and act as if they run everything." Mira paused. "HOA around here? That makes no sense." "I know," Arman said, "but they wear uniforms, badges, and talk like they have authority. They tell people how to manage their land. They even try to demand payment from the neighbor." Mira's eyes sharpened. "Did they trouble you directly?" "Not yet," Arman answered, "but they give long stares whenever they drive past." Mira listened carefully. She trusted her father's judgment. If he felt something was wrong, she knew there was more to it. They entered the house. It smelled like warm wood and fresh tea. Mira placed her bag near the table and sat beside her father. "You should not worry," she said with calm strength. "I will look around later and check the area, and if anyone bothers you, we will handle it." Arman nodded, feeling safe knowing she was home. For the next hour they talked about many things. Her job, the neighbors, the new plants growing near the barn. Everything felt normal again. Mira felt happy being home after long months of stressful assignments. Around noon, Mira decided to walk around the property. She wanted to revisit the paths she walked as a child. She moved with ease and steady steps, checking the fence, the soil, and the small path leading toward the woods. The wind blew lightly, brushing the tall grass around her, but while she walked, an SUV parked far from her father's home came slowly to life. It had been sitting there for a long time, hidden behind a line of trees near the road. Inside sat three men wearing dark uniforms and matching jackets with a bold eagle symbol printed on the front. Their badges shone under the sunlight, but the metal looked cheap to any trained eye. One of the men pointed at Mira through the window. "That girl again. She entered the land without checking in." Another man scoffed. "She looks like someone who thinks rules don't apply to her." The driver clicked his tongue. "Our HOA manual says everyone has to check in. Let's go talk to her." The three men stepped out of the SUV and began walking toward Mira's home. Their boots crunched over dry grass. They moved with an attitude that tried to appear official, but their steps lacked the discipline of real officers. Mira was heading back toward the house when she noticed movement near the path. She slowed down and watched quietly. The three men approached with stiff shoulders and stern expressions. Arman stepped out of the house when he heard unfamiliar voices. He saw Mira coming up the path and three strangers walking toward her. His heart tightened with unease. One man called out loudly, "You there, stop. This land is under HOA authority. You cannot enter without permission." Mira raised her eyebrows at the statement. Her steps remained steady and calm. "This is my father's land," she said in a level voice. "I live here." "That does not matter," the man replied. "New rule. Everyone must report their arrival." "You ignored it." Arman stepped between Mira and the men. "There is no HOA here. This is private property." The second man stepped forward. "We have the right to question anyone on this land." Mira studied them with quiet eyes. Their uniforms were not real. Their badges did not match any official design. Their behavior was too aggressive. Everything pointed to one thing. They were pretending to be authorities. She kept her tone steady. "You have no legal right to be here." The man closest to her placed his hand on a holster at his side. He slowly pulled out a black object, holding it in a warning posture. His face remained stern, but his hand trembled slightly. Arman stepped back, alarmed. "What are you doing? This is our home." Mira remained calm. Her heart did not race. Her training guided her thoughts. She studied the object carefully. It looked like a weapon, but the material seemed off. It was a fake device made to look real. You are making a serious mistake, she said firmly. The man scoffed. No, you made a mistake by walking on this land without respect for our authority. Myra took a slow step forward. Her eyes did not break contact with his. You should lower your hand before you do something you cannot undo. The men exchanged confused looks. They had expected fear. Instead, they faced calm confidence. Myra slowly reached into her jacket. Her movements were clear and controlled. The men tensed, expecting something dangerous. Instead, she pulled out a leather wallet and opened it. Inside was her official FBI badge. My name is Myra, she said in a clear voice. I am a federal agent, and you just pointed a fake weapon at me on private property. The men froze instantly. Their faces went pale. Even the wind seemed to pause around them. Armin watched with a mix of shock and pride. He always knew his daughter was strong, but he had never seen her in action like this. Myra lowered her badge slightly but kept her eyes on the men. You have 5 seconds to explain why you are pretending to be officers on my family's land. The 3 men stood silent, stunned and afraid, and that was only the beginning. Myra's calm presence made the 3 men freeze. Their confident expressions had vanished in an instant. They were not prepared to face someone with real authority. The one who had drawn the black device slowly lowered it. The other 2 exchanged nervous glances. None of them had expected this. They were used to intimidating ordinary people, not trained federal agents. Armin stepped closer to Myra, his voice low but tense. Who are these men? Why are they here? Myra kept her badge visible. They claim to be HOA officers, but their uniforms are fake, and they carry fake authority. They were trying to threaten us. The man who had spoken first swallowed hard. We thought you were just a local girl. We didn't know. You didn't know what? Myra asked sharply. You tried to intimidate a federal agent on private property. That is serious. The second man fumbled with his words. We only follow orders. We were told to check the land and report anyone who didn't follow the rules. Myra studied them carefully. Their reactions told her everything. They were inexperienced and scared. That made it easier to handle them. But it also meant there was a bigger person behind this. Someone smart and careful, who had given them instructions. Who gave you these orders? She asked. The first man hesitated. A man, his name is Rohan, he runs the HOA group. He gives us directions and says we must enforce the rules strictly. Myra nodded slightly. She had heard of people like Rohan. Some individuals pretended to be authorities to control land or scare people. They gave uniforms and fake badges to recruits who did not understand the law. This was exactly the type of case she had seen in her work. You will tell me everything, Myra said. You will explain where Rohan is and what he has planned. And you will be honest. The men glanced at one another. Fear showed clearly on their faces. Finally, the first man spoke. He stays in the old office near the main road. That is where the headquarters is. We do not go there often, but he gives instructions over calls or messages. Please, don't hurt us. Myra's eyes softened slightly. I am not here to hurt anyone who cooperates. But if you continue to lie or resist, you will face serious consequences. The men quickly nodded. They understood she was serious. Myra could see it in their eyes. Armin, still close to Myra, shook his head. I cannot believe these people were allowed to roam around. They tried to scare my family and neighbors. You should not worry anymore, Myra said. I will handle it, but we need to gather information first. She motioned for the men to sit on the grass. They hesitated, but eventually obeyed. Myra took out her phone and started taking notes. She asked about Rohan, his routines, how many people were involved, and whether they had any weapons or dangerous devices. The men answered nervously, giving all the information she needed. They don't carry real weapons, one admitted. Only fake devices. But some people still get scared. He told us to make them look real. That is exactly why this is illegal, Myra said. You cannot threaten people with fake authority or devices. It is still a crime. The men looked down, ashamed. Myra then gave them instructions. You are leaving this property immediately. You are not coming back. You will not try to intimidate anyone else in this neighborhood. They nodded quickly and moved toward their SUV. Myra watched as they drove away slowly, keeping their eyes on her. She knew they would not return. Armin exhaled deeply. If you had not been here, I don't know what could have happened. These men seemed dangerous. They are only dangerous because they thought they had power, Myra said. People like this rely on fear. Once they realize someone sees through them, they lose confidence quickly. Her father smiled faintly, proud of her. He always knew she was capable, but seeing her in action reassured him more than words could. Myra looked around the property carefully. She noticed the footprints near the barn and the broken branch again. It was possible the men had come in before today, checking the land. She made a mental note to inspect the area thoroughly later. The man behind them, Rohan, will not stop here, she said quietly. He organizes people like these to create fear. He has done it before and will do it again if we do not stop him. Armin nodded. Then what is the plan? How do we stop him? We find him first, Myra replied. Then we collect evidence. I will make sure he cannot threaten anyone else. The rest of the afternoon passed as Myra worked on her laptop in the wooden house. The internet connection was slow, but she managed to gather information about Rohan. He had created several fake security groups in different areas. His groups were small, and the members were mostly inexperienced people trying to earn easy money. He had never been caught properly because he moved quickly and changed locations often. Armin watched her carefully. "Be careful. I do not want you to be in danger here." Mira smiled reassuringly. "I know how to handle it. This place is safe, but I need to stop him before he causes more trouble." As the sun lowered in the sky, Mira decided it was time to confront Rohan directly. She put on a jacket, secured her badge where it could be seen if needed, and grabbed a small backpack with essentials. She told Armin, "Stay here. I will handle this carefully." Armin nodded reluctantly. He knew she was trained, but he could not help worrying. "Please come back safe," he said. Mira smiled and waved. "I will, I promise." She walked along the dirt road toward the old office. The building was visible now in the distance. It had peeling paint, broken windows, and a small faded sign that read Community Management Center. Mira's steps were calm but quick. Her eyes scanned every detail. She noticed the black SUV from earlier parked behind a row of trees. She recognized it immediately. Mira crouched behind a bush to observe. She could hear voices inside the office. One was rough, commanding. The others were nervous. She recognized the voice of the man from earlier, the one who had held the fake device. "We had trouble today," he said. She showed a federal badge. "I do not know what to do." A sharper, colder voice answered. "A federal badge. That girl, are you sure?" "Yes," the man replied. "I did not mean any harm, but she stopped us. She is dangerous." Mira recognized the cold voice immediately. It belonged to Rohan. His tone showed both authority and fear. He was the one who had organized everything. Mira took a deep breath. She stepped closer to the doorway of the office. Her eyes were sharp and focused. She pushed open the door slowly and called out, "Rohan, stop lying. I know what you are doing." The voices inside paused. Everyone turned to look at her. Rohan's eyes widened as he saw her badge. "You what? How did you find me here?" Mira held her badge up clearly. "I am Special Agent Myra. You have threatened people, organized fake enforcement groups, and intimidated families. That ends today." Rohan's face showed disbelief. He had expected fear, not calm authority. His hands trembled slightly. The men around him froze. Myra's voice was steady. "Everyone stay where you are. No sudden movements. I am not alone for long, and you will answer questions honestly." The office was silent except for the wind outside. Mira had taken control of the situation without aggression. Her calm confidence was enough to make the group comply. Rohan's lips moved, but no words came out. He was trapped by his own actions and by the presence of someone who truly had authority. Myra's eyes never left him. She knew the next few moments would decide everything. She was ready. And in that quiet moment, Mira realized how much she had missed being home, using her skills not just for work but to protect her family and their land. Rohan's eyes darted from Myra's badge to her calm, steady gaze. The office, once full of the men pretending to be powerful, now felt small and fragile. Fear and uncertainty replaced their earlier confidence. None of them had expected a federal agent to appear so quietly and confidently in their headquarters. Myra kept her voice firm. "Rohan, I know everything about your operation. The fake HOA groups, the intimidation, the false authority. You will tell me the truth now, or the consequences will be much worse." Rohan swallowed hard. "I can't explain," he stammered. "I did not mean to hurt anyone. I only wanted control over the neighborhood. We did not use real weapons. They were fake, only to scare people." "Scaring people is still a crime," Myra said calmly. "You threatened families, including my own. Your group cannot continue. I need names, locations, and proof of your operations." The men around him glanced at each other nervously. The fear in their eyes made Mira's job easier. She could see which ones were genuinely afraid and which ones were just trying to protect themselves. Rohan's voice dropped. "There are 5 others in my group. We meet in different locations. Sometimes we use the old community center for meetings. We communicate mostly over encrypted messages. I can give you the phones, the messages, and everything else. Just don't hurt us." Myra shook her head slightly. "I am not here to hurt anyone who cooperates, but lying will make this worse for you. You start by handing over all communication devices and anything that proves your organization." The men quickly complied. Phones, small radios, and folders filled with fake documents were handed to Mira. She examined each item carefully, noting the details. Every message, every fake notice, and every instruction from Rohan became evidence. Armin, who had quietly followed at a safe distance, stepped inside. "I can't believe people like this exist. They tried to scare everyone in our neighborhood." Myra nodded. "They rely on fear. That is their power. Once fear is removed, they have nothing." She kept her eyes on Rohan. "Now tell me exactly how you trained your group to act. I need every step you used to intimidate people." Rohan's face showed strain. "We told them to wear uniforms, to carry fake devices, and to act like officers. We made rules that did not exist. We told them to threaten fines and report people who did not follow our instructions. That's it." Myra made careful notes. And the 3 men who came to my property today, they followed the plan. They were supposed to check the land and report strangers. They made a mistake by trying to intimidate someone like you. Rohan's voice faltered. I did not expect that. We only wanted them to be careful, not cause trouble. You should have expected trouble, Myra said. Using fake authority always leads to problems. You put my family and your own men at risk. That is not smart. Rohan's face grew pale. He understood the seriousness of his actions now. The men around him seemed to shrink in size. The fear in the room was like a heavy shadow, Myra continued, her tone steady but commanding. Everyone in this office will remain here until local law enforcement arrives. I have contacted them. They will take you into custody. You will answer for every action you have taken, and your group will be disbanded permanently. The men nodded, too afraid to argue. Myra could see the weight of reality settling on them. Their plan, once confident and daring, was crumbling in front of them. Rohan tried one last time to regain control. Maybe you don't understand. We had rules. We didn't hurt anyone. You hurt people with fear. That counts, Myra replied. Threatening families on private land, pointing fake weapons, creating false authority, and taking money from neighbors or crimes. You will answer for all of it. The men remained silent. Even Rohan knew there was no way out. Myra's presence and authority left no space for lies or excuses. Outside, the sound of approaching sirens grew louder. Myra had planned ahead. While confronting Rohan, she had quietly informed the local police about the situation, providing enough evidence to ensure a safe arrival. Armin looked through the doorway. I hear sirens. Are they coming for them? Yes, Myra said. They will take custody of Rohan and his group. Everything is going to be handled legally now. We only need to make sure no one else is at risk. Myra's mind raced as she thought about the neighborhood. Other families could still be threatened by copycats or people who admired Rohan's methods. She needed to ensure the safety of the community. When the local officers arrived, Myra explained everything calmly. She presented Rohan's communication devices, the fake badges, the uniforms, and the evidence of intimidation. The officers listened carefully, impressed with the thorough documentation she had gathered. The men in the office, including Rohan, were taken into custody without incident. Myra made sure they were treated according to the law and that all evidence was secured. It was important that justice was served properly. Once the men were gone, Myra stepped outside. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the property. Arman approached her, pride evident in his eyes. You handled everything perfectly. I cannot believe what just happened. Myra smiled slightly. It is part of the job, but home is different. Here, I want to make sure everyone is safe without fear. That is why I came so quickly. Arman looked around the property. This place feels peaceful again. I hope it stays that way. Myra nodded. It will, but we have to be careful. People like Rohan don't stop easily. Sometimes, they wait for an opportunity to return or create a new plan. We need to remain aware. Armin placed a hand on her shoulder. As long as you are here, I feel safe. You are my daughter, and also a guardian of this land. Myra felt a wave of warmth. Protecting her family was always important, but being able to combine her skills with her love for home made her feel complete. Later, Myra walked the perimeter of the land again. The wind moved through the tall grass. The trees swayed gently, and the land seemed to breathe in relief. She checked the fences, the old barn, and the path leading into the woods. Everything looked normal, but she stayed alert. Nothing escaped her notice. She thought about Rohan and his group. They were small and inexperienced, but dangerous because they used fear to control people. She knew it was only a matter of time before legal processes caught up with them. Her work today had prevented any further trouble. As Myra returned to the house, she saw her father sitting on the porch sipping tea. He looked at her with admiration. You have done so much in one day. You protected this land, and everyone in it. Myra smiled and sat beside him. I only did what was necessary. People should never be afraid in their own home. That is what matters most. The rest of the evening passed quietly. Myra helped prepare dinner, and they talked about everyday things. The normalcy was comforting after the tension of the day. Before going to bed, Myra stood outside one last time. The sky was painted with shades of orange and purple. The wind carried the scent of earth and trees, and the land felt calm again. She knew this peace was temporary, but it was precious. She would protect it as long as she could. Myra returned inside and saw Armin already reading in the living room. Tomorrow, she said quietly, I will start planning how to ensure the neighborhood stays safe. Rohan's group is gone, but there may be others. Armin looked at her with concern. You never stop, do you? Myra smiled. That is part of who I am. But tonight, we rest. Tomorrow, we plan. They sat together in silence, the house warm and safe. Outside, the land stretched quietly under the night sky. The danger removed for now, and the world feeling steady again. Myra thought about her work, her home, and the people she loved. She realized that protecting them required courage, knowledge, and calm, even in the face of threats. Today she had proved that, and tomorrow she would continue. The next morning, Myra woke early. The sunlight streamed through the windows, painting the wooden floor in golden tones. Her father Armin was already up, tending to the garden and watering the plants. The air was fresh and cool, filled with the scent of soil and grass. Mira took a deep breath. Yesterday had been intense, but it was not over. Rohan and his fake HOA group were now in custody, but she knew others might attempt similar schemes if left unchecked. She needed to plan carefully to ensure the safety of the neighborhood and her family's land. After a quick breakfast, Myra sat at the small wooden table in the kitchen with her laptop. She started analyzing all the information she had gathered yesterday. Every phone, message, and document from Rohan's group was carefully examined. She noted the names, locations, and possible contacts of each member. Patterns emerged. The group relied on fear and confusion to control people, using fake authority and false rules to intimidate them. Armin came inside, placing a cup of warm tea on the table. "You have been at this for hours," he said gently. "Don't forget to rest." Mira smiled faintly. "I will, but we need to be thorough. We cannot leave any loose ends." Her father sat down across from her. "I understand. Just promise me you will not put yourself at unnecessary risk. You are my daughter, and I want you safe." Myra reached across the table and held his hand. "I promise, Baba, I will be careful. But someone has to make sure these people cannot hurt anyone else." By mid-morning, Myra decided it was time to visit the local neighbors. She walked through the quiet lanes, greeting familiar faces with a calm smile. Some of them were nervous after hearing about Rohan's group. Others had been quietly observing the fake officers and avoiding confrontation. Mira spoke to each family individually, assuring them that the threat had been removed and explaining the steps she was taking to ensure future safety. One neighbor, an older woman named Farah, spoke with worry in her eyes. "We never thought something like this could happen here. People pretending to be officers, making threats, and pointing weapons. It was terrifying." Mira nodded. "I understand, but now we know how to handle it, and we will not allow it to happen again. Everyone must remain calm, but also aware. If anyone sees suspicious activity, report it immediately." Farah sighed in relief. "Thank you, Mira. I feel safer knowing you are here." After visiting the neighbors, Myra returned to her father's property. She walked the perimeter once again, checking fences, paths, and entry points. She noted weak areas and places that might be used by intruders. Her FBI training allowed her to see details most people would miss. Broken branches, small footprints, and disturbed soil became clues that helped her understand potential risks. Back inside the house, Myra reviewed the messages from Rohan's phones. She found detailed instructions he had given to his group. He had emphasized fear, false authority, and strict enforcement. Mira smiled faintly. The more she read, the easier it became to anticipate any future attempts. Armin observed quietly. "You are thorough. I have never seen anyone work like this." Myra looked up. "It is necessary. If we understand the patterns, we can stop anyone trying to copy him. Prevention is always better than reaction." By late afternoon, Mira decided it was time to confront Rohan again. Although he was in custody, she wanted to ensure he could not manipulate anyone else from inside. She drove to the local police station, where Rohan and his group were being held temporarily. The officers recognized Mira immediately and allowed her to enter the holding area. Rohan looked tense as Mira approached. He had regained some composure but still showed signs of fear. Mira placed her badge on the counter and spoke clearly. "Rohan, your group's actions have been fully documented. I need you to cooperate completely. Any dishonesty or attempt to manipulate others from here will have serious consequences." Rohan nodded slowly. "I understand. I did not mean to cause so much trouble." Mira's eyes were sharp. "Intent does not matter. The effects of your actions did. Families were frightened, property was threatened, and trust was broken. You will answer for every step your group took." She continued, calmly but firmly asking him questions. "How many other groups have you created? Did you plan to expand beyond this neighborhood? Who else has been involved?" Rohan hesitated, then answered truthfully. Myra listened carefully, taking notes and making mental maps of connections. She understood that Rohan had acted alone in organizing the groups, but he had influenced inexperienced people to carry out the intimidation. By evening, Myra returned home. Armin was in the kitchen preparing a simple meal. "How did it go?" he asked. "Informative," Myra said. "Rohan is cooperating. He has provided enough information for the authorities to prevent further incidents. We now have control over the situation." Armin nodded. "I feel safer already, but I know your mind never rests." Mira smiled softly. "It does not. But home is important too. That is why I am here. Protecting this land and our neighbors is just as important as any case I handle in the field." After dinner, Mira walked outside again. The night was calm, the air filled with the scent of grass and wood. She looked over the land, the same way she had done as a child, but now with the knowledge and experience of her training. Every tree, fence, and path felt like part of a protective boundary. She knew she had made it safer. Armin joined her on the porch, holding a cup of warm tea. "You handled everything perfectly. I cannot imagine what it must be like to face people like that and remain calm." Myra sipped her tea. "It is about focus. understanding the situation, predicting the actions of others, and staying calm no matter what. That is how you protect yourself and others. The night passed peacefully. Myra made plans for the following days, ensuring that the neighborhood would be informed and safe. She drafted letters for residents, explaining what had happened, giving instructions on how to report suspicious activity, and reassuring them that the situation was under control. Before going to bed, Myra reflected on the events of the past 2 days. The fake HOA group had tried to create fear and control, but she had prevented them. Her father's land in the neighborhood was safe. Families could now live without worry. Armin watched her quietly, proud and relieved. You are a remarkable person, Myra, not only in your work but also in how you care for those around you. Myra smiled. I do what I must, but home gives me purpose beyond the field. This is why I fight, to protect people, to maintain peace, and to ensure trust. Outside, the wind rustled the leaves gently. The land seemed to breathe in relief, the danger removed, and the night sky stretched endlessly, calm and safe. Myra knew the road ahead might still have challenges. Rohan's influence could reach others, and new threats might emerge. But for now, she had done everything in her power to secure her family, her home, and the neighborhood. The quiet night allowed Myra to feel the balance between her duty as an FBI agent and her life at home. She had acted decisively, with intelligence and calm, ensuring that law and order would prevail. As she finally entered the house, Armin smiled, knowing his daughter was not only safe but had restored peace to their lives. Myra felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing she had made a difference today. Tomorrow, there would be more work to do, more planning and communication, but tonight the land was safe and the neighborhood could sleep without fear. Myra had ensured that the balance had returned, and in the calm night, father and daughter sat together quietly, both feeling the weight of relief and accomplishment. The morning sun rose over Armin's property, painting the fields and trees in warm golden light. Myra stepped outside, taking a deep breath of fresh air. The land looked calm and peaceful, almost as if yesterday's chaos had never existed. But Myra knew that true peace required careful planning and vigilance. She walked along the perimeter of the property, checking fences, paths, and hidden areas. Her eyes caught even the smallest detail: a bent branch, a shifted stone, a mark in the dirt. Everything was evidence to her trained mind. She wanted to be sure that no one could ever attempt what Rohan and his group had tried again. Her father, Armin, joined her on the porch with a cup of tea. You are always so thorough, he said. I don't think I could ever walk this land with the same care you do. Myra smiled. It is not just about the land. It is about the people who live here. I want to ensure they feel safe. That is the most important part. After a quick breakfast, Myra drove to the local police station. The previous day's arrest of Rohan and his group had been the first step. Today, she wanted to meet with the officers who would continue monitoring the neighborhood. She handed over all collected evidence: phones, messages, documents, and photos. The officers carefully reviewed everything. This is very thorough, one of the detectives said. We can use this to ensure Rohan cannot organize anything from prison. It will also help prevent anyone else from attempting the same scheme. Myra nodded. Good. Make sure neighbors know they can contact you immediately if anything unusual happens. Encourage them to stay vigilant but not fearful. Back at home, Myra checked on her neighbors once more. Families were starting to emerge from their homes, feeling safer after the arrest of the fake HOA group. Children played in yards that had been quiet and tense before. Myra spoke with several residents, reassuring them and explaining that the authorities were now in control. One of the neighbors, a man named Samir, thanked her. I was worried my family might be next. Seeing you handle this makes me feel safe again. You just need to stay alert, Myra said calmly. Report anything suspicious immediately. Fear only grows when we ignore warning signs. By midday, Myra returned to her father's property. She walked the land again, ensuring that nothing was out of place. Her father watched her, clearly proud. You have changed this place completely, he said. It feels safer, lighter somehow. Myra smiled. That is the goal. This land belongs to you and to the people around us. Nobody should feel fear here. She spent the afternoon creating a safety plan. She mapped the property, noting weak points and potential access routes. She also drafted guidelines for neighbors, explaining what to do if they noticed suspicious activity. It was practical advice, simple enough for anyone to follow, but effective enough to prevent future threats. Evening came and Myra sat with her father on the porch. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the fields. Today, we made a difference, she said softly. Armin nodded. You always do, Myra. You protect people, and now you have protected this entire community. I am proud of you. Myra looked out at the land. The trees swayed gently in the wind, and the tall grass danced in the sunlight. It feels good to come home and protect my family and neighbors here, not just in my job. Her father smiled, reaching over to squeeze her hand. This land is ours, and so is the safety of everyone on it. With you here, I feel nothing can harm it. That night, Myra took one last walk around the property. The stars were clear, the air was calm, and the land was peaceful. She knew that threats could return, but today had proven that careful planning, courage, and vigilance could protect what mattered most. She paused near the old barn, looking at the paths and fences she had walked countless times. This is more than just land, she thought. It is home. It is safety. It is peace. And I will protect it no matter what. Returning to the house, she found her father preparing a simple dinner. You should eat, Armin said. You have worked tirelessly these past days. Myra smiled and joined him. Thank you, Baba, but the work is worth it if it keeps everyone safe. They ate quietly, enjoying the comfort of home. For the first time in days, Myra allowed herself to feel completely relaxed. The immediate danger was gone, and the neighborhood could breathe freely. After dinner, Myra and Armin sat on the porch together, sipping tea and watching the stars appear in the night sky. The land was calm, and the gentle sounds of nature surrounded them. You did more than anyone could have expected, Armin said. You protected not only this land, but everyone who lives here. Myra nodded. It was important. Home is where we find strength, and it is worth protecting. The people here trust us, and that is a responsibility I take seriously. They talked quietly, sharing memories, plans for the future, and small dreams for the land. Myra felt a sense of fulfillment she rarely experienced in the field. Here, she could use her skills not only to enforce the law, but to create a safe, peaceful environment for her family and neighbors. The next morning, Myra returned to her routine, checking the property, reviewing messages from neighbors, and ensuring that the community felt safe. Every detail mattered. Every precaution contributed to long-term security. Rohan and his group were now in legal custody. The local authorities had promised to monitor any further activity related to his scheme. Myra had provided all the evidence necessary to ensure their plans could not continue. The community could finally relax without fear of fake authorities or intimidation. Her father watched her with quiet pride. You are not only an agent of the law, but also a guardian of this land. You make a difference in every way. Myra smiled softly. I do what I must. And being here, protecting home, reminds me why my work is important. Law, safety, and peace, these are what matter most. The neighborhood slowly returned to normal. Children played freely, neighbors greeted each other warmly, and the land felt alive and safe once again. Myra continued to check, plan, and guide, ensuring that nothing could threaten the community. In the evenings, she would sit with her father enjoying tea in the quiet of home. They shared stories, laughter, and plans for the future. The bond between them grew stronger, built not only on love but on shared commitment to protect what was theirs. Days passed, and life returned to a steady rhythm. Myra's presence had reassured everyone. Fear had been replaced by confidence, and her careful actions had prevented any future threats. Families walked freely, children played safely, and the land thrived under the watchful eyes of its protector. One evening, Myra stood on the porch looking over the fields bathed in the golden glow of sunset. Her father joined her quietly. You have done something remarkable here, he said. Not many people can protect the community and restore peace so completely. Myra smiled. It is not just me. Home is about people, and when everyone works together, it becomes stronger. But it is also about vigilance. Peace is valuable, and it must be protected. Armin nodded. With you here, I feel that peace will last. You are not just my daughter, you are the guardian of this place. Myra took a deep breath, feeling the calm of the land, the trust of the neighbors, and the warmth of her father's presence. She knew challenges might come again, but today had proven that courage, skill, and care could overcome any threat. And in the quiet of the evening, under the soft glow of the sunset, Myra finally allowed herself to relax fully. The land was safe, the neighborhood was secure, and her family was protected. For Myra, this was home, and she would always defend it with courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination.